Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray, and this is Gray's Guitars. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, leave a like, and feel free to comment down below what you would like me to do for future videos. So today, we are going to be talking about a new article. I'm probably going to end up reading most, or if not the entire article, to you guys and gals off of Guitar World. And the headline is, "The biggest threat to the guitar, it could be the guitarist. How online hate endangers the instrument we love." And then it starts, and this is all written by Michael Astle Brown. "We end up with a culture of player haters and what we can do to change it." So for decades or more, headlines featuring the world's guitar on mainstream news outlets have been reliably prefaced with the death of. These premature obituaries blame everything from the rise of EDM and bedroom producers to declining attention spans, not to mention the demise of the guitar hero as we know it. But all have failed to blame another culprit, guitarists themselves. We all love guitars in one shape or form, but in recent months, takedown videos have become a worrying trend. Online commentary is at peak hysteria, a new shred arms race has erupted, something that even led to allegations of fake playing, all of which doesn't exactly create a welcoming environment for anyone seeking to pick up a six string for the first time. More than any other instrument, there are a competitiveness among guitar players that generalization shifts and apparently struggle to shake off. This sense of rivalry is inherent in the majority of art forms, but traditionally guitarists are used to being the focal point of any band, and perhaps that's why we're prone to moaning when the wider guitardom doesn't quite meet our expectations of tone, genre, or technique. Now, I want to talk to you, just stop there for a minute, about lead guitarist syndrome, as I like to call it, and I have met people that have had it, and I've met people that haven't had it. Me personally, I consider myself more of a rhythm player. I'm not super shreddy. I don't practice as much as I should, I will admit that. So I'm really not at a crazy shreddy level. And basically it is, especially if we're doing a cover band or whatever, I've had guitarists in the past where they're like, "Oh, you can't do the leads for any songs because I'm the lead guitarist. I got to be up front for every single song, even though you already know the song in full." Which was kind of annoying because, like a song like Blink-182, Damn It, that's a song that most guitarists can play that are at an intermediate level and make it sound pretty decent. I thought I sounded pretty fine with it. But no, I couldn't even play that lead part. And that band didn't working out. Anyway, that was just one of those quick ones where I was in it for a few days, and then that was the end of that. So let's continue. Case in point, GW recently shared an article on how to tune your guitar to drop D by ear. Not only was this a useful topic for beginners, but we all also knew people were actively looking up how to do this stuff. The Facebook comment thread was fast and furious. Here are some choice selections. Oh, here we go. Some nice comments. People who need instructions on this can hand in their guitar now. Part of being a good guitarist is being able to tune your guitar. If you can't do that, go play tennis. There's enough hacks out there. If you can't tune to drop D by ear, please stop playing. Seriously, Guitar World, please stop posting this garbage. So, my thought on that is there are a lot more people that are trying to learn guitar and pick up an instrumental, go buy their cheap first $100 guitar, whatever it is, try to learn the instrument, and then they read the comments in this. As a beginner, this would very much so piss me off and shoo me away from guitars because all these people are hostile. I have no idea what I'm doing because I just picked up the instrument. All these people are calling me an idiot because I picked up something that I have no idea how to do, and they're shaming me for it because I don't know how to do it on day one, which is ridiculous. So this is part of the problem there too. There's going to be entry-level videos out there. There has to be. You have to start somewhere. You can't pick up a guitar and shred the crap out of it on day one. If you can, well, good for you. You got some crazy talent in your veins, but most of us do not have that ability. I don't think I could even figure out how to play Deep Purple for like 3 days when I first got the guitar. It took me a while to figure out what the heck I was doing and how to do that. Let's continue. Having grown up in the mid-90s heyday of guitar gear forum boom myself, I can testify the online guitar communities have the potential to be hostile places to spend your time. We've all seen comments raging on the latest pop upstarts who dare to wield an acoustic, moaning about an indie player relying on delay pedals to do the heavy lifting or tearing apart any tone that isn't a 1959 Les Paul played through a clone or a Dumble. After all, we're famously resistant to change. Pentatonic scale, still the basics of the majority of our playing, our favorite tones, tube-based or emulations thereof. The reason why we love Gibson again, they're making guitars like they used to. We could go on. So I definitely agree to this. The guitar, if it's going to stay in popular music today, or pop music in general, you're not really going to see all the crazy shredding that you are if you were listening to like death metal, Whitechapel, Beartooth, couple of bands that come to mind that are in that heavy metal scene where they do all the crazy shredding to your heart's galore, where your average guitarist isn't going to be able to do that. But you look at somebody like Taylor Swift, as Guitar World has said before, that she might possibly be the next Van Halen. And I'm not talking about playability-wise, I'm talking about popularity with the guitar. Because who's more popular at this point in time? Eddie Van Halen, who at his peak pretty much in the 80s, don't get me wrong, I love him, love his guitar playing, love everything about him, but he's definitely not as popular today as he was back in the day when everybody was listening to him and he was at the top of the charts. Now you got people like Taylor Swift who bring out an acoustic, and that might inspire somebody to pick up a guitar, which the more people we have playing guitar, the more options we have to buy, which is a good thing because then it drives down prices because there's more competition. But no, you don't want to talk about that. You just want somebody to shred your face off the entire time. Let's move on. Speed kills. But how did guitarists come to resent our fellow kind quite so much? First off, we're taught to be a bit snobbish from the outset. It's the reason we spend hours perfecting a vibrato and why our living rooms resemble postal service sortings deposits in our quest to capture the elusive perfect tone. Another is self-esteem. From strumming your first chorus to nailing a six-string sweep, playing guitar is an artistic pursuit. And as we put a lot of ourselves into our performance, it also means we can feel extremely vulnerable and we lash out when we feel threatened. And that figures. Recent studies found that 73% of independent musicians suffer from mental illness, and musicians are 3 times more likely to be depressed than other groups. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that study entails, like how much of that is actually guitarists, but there's a lot more, because that's the only thing I kind of disagree with that. There's a lot more musicians than guitarists. They aren't specifically saying guitarists, they're saying musicians in general. So that could mean a drummer, a bassist, a guitarist, a singer, somebody that does EDM or whatever, somebody that makes electric dance music. Oh, that is EDM. Duh. Dubstep, all that different types of music, whatever you want to call it. This is across the whole board. It also can't help being exposed to so much otherworldly talent. The next level criticism on a daily bias. While YouTube and Instagram have given everyone a potential worldwide audience, they've also played host to a brutal takedown videos, cruel parodies, and toxic commentary. So basically what that means is such as the whole Rob Chapman thing. The amount of just negative comments I got on my own video voicing my opinion about that. I think I did like 3 videos about it at this point in time. And they're still getting views and still getting lots of hate. But whatever, I'm going to keep doing my thing because I like doing it. So you know what, whatever. I'm not getting paid for it right now. So you can't call me a sellout when in reality, I'm not even getting paid for it. I'm doing it just for the fun of it. Or lack of. Depression set again. Oh no. These online platforms have also brought out a renaissance in shredding, recalling the 80s need for speed that ushered in a new breed of competitive guitar playing, exemplified by the climate face-off between Steve Vai and Ralph Micro, an 80s guitar flick per excellent Crossroads, and then there's a link to that. Sure, that era may have encouraged its fair share of guitarists for whom next-level technique was aspiring goal, but it probably discouraged just as many who thought, no way I can do that. Oh, 100%. I think probably one of the biggest influences that got me into guitar in the first place was Kurt Cobain, because say what you will about him, he was a great musician. He was definitely not the best guitarist in the world. He wasn't a terrible guitarist. I would say he was definitely an intermediate guitarist because he wasn't doing crazy shreddy things. He could pull a solo out here and there that wasn't too massively complex. And honestly, most of his songs, I would say any intermediate player and even some of the stuff beginners would be able to do. And he's kind of what got me into it. I was like, okay, you don't have to be crazy, shreddy, and awesome. You can be okay and still get by and do what you got to do. which is precisely why the grunge explosion of the early 90s, where songwriting craft took precedence over fretboard theoretics, as much as we love them, was so important. Without it, we certainly wouldn't have many of the players we have today who continue to cite the likes of Kurt Cobain as a formative influence, just what I was talking about. Don't hate the player. You might make the case that being opinionated is just the nature of rock and metal fans, but this particular kind of antagonism towards fellow musicians is fairly unique to guitar players and doesn't exist to anywhere near the same degree in the bass and drum world. Not sure if that's true or not, but we'll continue. Our low-end brethren may share our ethos about rig hangups. When it comes to genre, it's a very different story. According to Joe McGlever, editor of Bass Player and Bass Guitar magazines, you'll get bassists bad-mouthing each other about gear choices such as whether 4, 5, or 6 string is right for bass guitar, he says. But the flip side is that bass transcends genre. We tend not to concern ourselves with whether a given bassist plays funk or metal or jazz or makes weird experimental noises with a pedal board. If it's deep and impactful, that's all that matters in our world. And I can agree to that. I mean, the epitome of most pop songs now is the bass in the background, whether it's an actual bass guitar or just a bass beat. You got to have a big old heavy bass in the background. I mean, you look at Billie Eilish, very popular musician these days, a lot of bass in most of her songs. Meanwhile, former editor of drum magazine Rhythm Chris Barnes points towards the more supportive nature of Sticksmen. There's always been a great sense of community and support amongst drummers, regardless of the level that they're at, he says. I've interviewed some of the biggest drummers on the planet, and I've never encountered any secrecy about what they play or how they play. I believe this willingness to share, and this runs the spectrum from bedroom players to rock stars, has helped progress the art form. Drummers are the dependable person at the back, the backbone of the music. And I can attest for this because I've had a few drummers that I've worked with in the past in bands, and all of them have been more than patient if one of the guitarists or the bassists are trying to figure out a part, and then we give it right back to him. If the drummer's trying to figure out a part, we'll stop playing for a couple minutes, let him do what he's got to do, and get back to it. Based on the experiences of Team GW, it's worth noting that the vast majority of guitarists at the top of their game possess a similar mentality. Experience is there to be shared, and new players should absolutely be encouraged every step of the way. Look at Paul Gilbert. He's one of the greatest guitarists of his generation, but he's also an active guitar teacher. You think he's going into all those lessons telling kids they suck? No, he's not. What's next? The mantra of Guitar Circa 2020 needs to be anything goes. EDM got the jump on guitar-based music because sonically it accented anything and everything, like hip-hop and the rise of samples in the late 80s. It doesn't just embrace creativity, it's thriving precisely because of it. When the sonic template of each new record is always fresh, it continues to stay relevant. Having no boundaries means there's no limit to the appeal, and that's why guitarists need to stay open-minded, keep the instrument alive. Look at John Mayer, who, besides being one of the greatest blues guitarists on the planet, doesn't even bring his amps to sessions anymore, allowing producers to have their way with his guitar sound, or Palafia, if I'm saying that word correctly, who look to rap and trap music to make shred cool once again, albeit in an entirely new way. Even one of the 21st century's bona fide guitar heroes, Muse frontman Matt Bellamy, claimed the guitar has become a textual instrument rather than a lead instrument, but with advances and pedals and recording technology, there's no reason the guitar can't continue to be a leading force in any musical context. Sure, it might not sound like the hot-rodded Marshall Eddie used to use, but it will continue to make an impact for music generations to come. After all, anyone who grows up with access to all the music ever made seems no need to abide by genre boundaries, and today's guitarists need to be operating with the same regiment. The daughter of my music radar college, Ben Rogerson, is learning guitar right now, and her favorite artists are Metallica, Taylor Swift. There are no rules anymore. For many players, the guitar is no longer a focus in of itself. Rather, it's a tool in the same way as an MIDI controller or a synth plugin. With so many alternative creative outlets, there needs to be damn good reason to opt for a guitar over anything else, particularly with everything from your phone to Netflix and PlayStation in the corner of vying for your attention. Fender CEO Andy Mooney, while discussing the fact that 90% of new guitarists abandon their instrument within a year, made a particular settlement point that people play the guitar for different reasons, and some of us did. Not everybody wants to be standing with one foot on the monitor and with the wind blowing through their hair, he observes. Most people would want to play quietly and solo in their own home, singing along with their favorite songs, and I think we have to embrace them alongside the really gifted virtuoso players and still exist out there. And by accepting that, we keep the guitar alive. You don't have to enjoy the music that's being made. Hell, nobody's supposed to like everything, but by the ushering players of all stripes into the collective fold, we can do more for the extended lifespan of guitar playing and any PR campaign of a new guitar launch. Guitar World will always cover the traditional heroes. We wouldn't be anywhere without them, but we believe there is a place in a pop alongside shred. Indie next to tech metal. So basically all genres are good to go with guitar. If you're using a guitar, go for it. Most importantly, we think there's a place for guitar in the future of music, whatever form it takes, just as long as we all stick together and foster no reject new original talent. As one commander on that dropped a tuning article wrote, remember where we all beginners at one point. We all sucked mad fucking shit and had little knowledge about the instrument. That's no reason to give up your guitar or end your life. If we can all just keep that in mind, there's hope for us yet. So holy crap, that was a mouthful, and this video is just going to be super long, but we're going to put it up anyway. We'll put some pretty pictures up there for you. I'm going to put a link to the description down below, but the gist of all of this is just relax, play to your ability, don't hate on people that are worse than you. Don't be envy of people that are better than you, because with enough practice, you should be able to get to where you want to go. And if you don't want to get to be shreddy and you just like collecting and buying guitars, such as myself, because I personally don't care if I get to shredder status or not, I just have fun buying, collecting, and playing when I feel like it. And that's all that really matters. So stop all of the hate and do what you got to do. My name is Steve Gray. This is Gray's Guitars. And as always, have a good one.